here in books, and they're actually perched on a table here to look at this computer. So what's interesting is that we find some of the most interesting, fascinating things in workarounds. You know, when you look at, okay, boy, that's kind of strange. Why did you do that? And you get some really interesting things. And things like this lead to innovative solutions because there's a reason they did that. You know, there's a reason somebody, you know, and I often joke on, I spend a lot of time on college campuses. And some of you may also too. If you really want to know where to put your sidewalks, what do? You ever been on a college campus? What do you see on college campuses everywhere? These little cut-throughs, right, where they've batted down the ground, it's muddy, because that's their direct route to wherever they're going, or they're coming out of this building to another. So if you look at those signs and these workarounds, you can kind of discover why are they doing that? What's the meaning for that? And then you can do some, you know, really progressive things to kind of address that. We talked about this whole idea of transparency from a macro and a micro level. Just being connected and understanding the nature of the business is very important to this group, because then they can understand how they can contribute and how they can, you know, make a meaningful and impactful contribution. If you want to attract this generation, position and brand yourself as socially responsible, as a company that is strong ethics, environmentally conscious. These are the kinds of organizations that they want to be a part of. It's very important to them to do that. We talked about this idea of gravitating toward these social spaces are very important, and the vibe and the synergy that's created in those spaces is very important in this group. And again, we take a lot of this from the college environment. If you go into a college environment, many times you'll see maybe a large work table with 4 individuals sitting at the work table, all working individually. It's kind of a phenomenon we call working alone together. We want to work with other people, and we want people around us, but we're still doing our individual, more focused work. But it's having that socialization and that vibe around us that's important to us. And so creating spaces like, we talk to companies all the time, and they tell, you know, one of the things that is challenging to us is our employees, because they're mobile and we give them the technology, is they can go to Starbucks to work or Panera to work. We don't really want them to work at Starbucks and Panera because there might be security things, sensitivity issues. And so a simple question is, why not create those third spaces on your own campus? Why not create a third place within the own confines of your corporate space where people feel invigorated and can go and work and do that kind of thing? And so if we can create, as some company has, environments here where maybe they take a break and they play chess or they play foosball, they do something like that. What's interesting, you can't really see it here, but this was a software development company, and this was a little whiteboard that was created along this space, and there's actually some very significant code that was developed while these 2 guys were playing chess. They were actually writing on this whiteboard and adding to what the other person did, and so there was some work going on at the same time they were kind of playing, and it resulted in some pretty significant code writing here for a software development that they kind of worked together in this kind of socialized space. Another thing that we do is in this engage phase, to really engage the intellectual and emotional side of the individual, is a collaging exercise. We use a software called Expression, where there are key words and key images, and people can take these images and pull them and put them into a collage. And so what we did was, give us your impression of your current environment. And so you can look at this, and they can pull words out, you know, like global and connectivity, frenzy, and then there's images that they can pull out that kind of, this is what I think of my current environment. And then we say, what would your future or ideal environment look like? And then you can see here some of the words they choose, some of the images. So what do you see right up here? That's Gen Y. You know, put in a fitness center so I can go at lunch and work out a little bit. You know, things like that. Have you heard all this before from your employees? Can we get a fitness center? How about a cafe? How about So we kind of, again, through this synthesis, we take these collages and we kind of look at them and we say, okay, what are the trends? What are the patterns that we're kind of seeing? So here's a baby boomer, typical. 44% of the people we surveyed with this collaging exercise chose flexible as a word, and then these were all tied. Creative, deadline, information, fun, meeting, team, 35%. Top images, this whole idea of work, life, 26%, 22, some of this. And then you can kind of see the difference. See how these two generations are pretty close, because there's a lot of overlap kind of in the characteristics and the things that have kind of impacted their lives. But again, technology plays a major role in this Gen Y, so it's very, very important. This is all about tension, all about bureaucracy. The Gen Y or Gen X is, there's a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of things that are not productive. When you look at the ideal work environment, spacious, inspiring, active, 63%. Top images, relaxing, innovative. You can see the private office connotation. Have my own private space. Then you go to Gen X. A couple of the same things, but again, see how technology now becomes a very active part of it. And then when you go to Gen Y, they want an environment that's active, very active and flexible, very social. That's really what we're saying, very social. And again, technology's integrated everywhere. So let's just quickly talk about some of the key shifts that we saw through this research. There were really 8 key shifts that we saw going forward for Gen Y. The first one was we're moving from this whole idea of personal achievement through my career to work does not identify me. It's a lifestyle and work balance are very critical to Gen Y. This whole idea of career lattice replaces the corporate ladder, and really expect job and career switching. If you hire one of the Gen Y, expect them to want the next best challenge. They may only be in the job for 6 months and say, I need the next challenge. I need the next thing that's going to make me a more well-rounded person. Moving from the office as my primary workplace to the workplace is where I am. My wife still doesn't get this. My wife is a nurse, and I'm a mobile worker. I work at home. She's still, because we kind of connote work and place. Where you go to work every day, that's work and that's place. Well, I don't go to a place to work. I work in my basement. I work at the kitchen table. She still doesn't get that. She goes to the hospital to work and stands on her feet for 8 hours and all that, and I just sit on the phone all day. I'm not working. So this whole idea of, with technology and the way things are, I can work any place, anytime, anywhere. And that's the new norm as we go forward. And it's really important to understand that, because the work patterns of Gen Y are quite different. They may work till 2 o'clock in the morning and get up at noon or whatever. And what I hear a lot of companies saying, as long as the work gets done, it's quality work, it's on time, deadlines are met, what do I care where the individual works or how they do it, as long as it meets as long as you have performance management goals where you can really measure that, it shouldn't really matter where they work. And that's really kind of their philosophy. So again, we're shifting from, technology is a tool that my company has given me to help work better, to it's embedded in everything that I do. It's really, technology is really an extension of who they are. And again, the expectation is that the physical space and technology should be like a glove, fit like a glove, that everything should be seamless, integrated, and really easy to use. We're moving from trust is developed in person to it can be developed both online and face-to-face. So this idea here is that I can't really develop trust unless I work with you face-to-face, mano to mano. And again, this generation, and even some people here will not even buy things online because they're secure. They're afraid that their information will get lifted, that there's just a discomfort with working with technology and online kinds of things. And again, it's embedded in this person's life. They trust everything. If it's on the if it's on the internet, it's true. That kind of a thing. Maybe a little too trusting. But the point is that there's a huge shift now that I don't have to be in the office and be face-to-face with an individual. I can be on video conferencing. I can be online. I can be on Facebook. I can Twitter. I can do all this stuff. Trust building. We're moving from conformity, this whole idea of conforming to what my employer wants to do, identifying results through that, to really creating my own identity, creating autonomy in the way I work, being recognized for the contribution I make to my organization and how I do that. And it's all about the right connection, having the right company that values the same things I do, is socially responsible and conscious of that. And then we're moving from training, really that formal top-down training kind of a thing where we sit in the classroom and they train us and they teach us, to really everything is continually, all my experiences are contributing to my growth and to my professional development. I don't have to sit in a classroom, but this mentoring, this peer-to-peer collaboration, this cross-functional kinds of stuff that I'm doing is all building the person and the professional person that I want to be. And then finally, this whole idea of blurring of work and life, continually struggle to fit real life into work life, to really putting life first, and making the conscious effort that life is more important. I can do work, but I can balance that and make everybody happy, but life is more important to me. And then collaboration, both online and face-to-face. It's all about, this group is all about connections. You ever know, I'll tell you another great story is, you ever see these kids when maybe they've been in the movies or they've been somewhere where they haven't had their device. A great example is that when I pick my son up from practice at sports, he hops in the car, the first thing he does is pull out his phone, because somebody might have, in that 2 hours he was in practice, he probably missed 10 or 12 texts or, what was going on or something like that. So we have a rule now that he has to talk to me 5 minutes before he pulls the phone out, because otherwise I won't get a word in edgewise. But everybody's so connected. You walk down the city street and people are walking like this, bumping into things. And the minute it buzzes, we grab it and we look at it. And that's this generation, is they want to be connected, and they're connected 24/7. So out of this, we create some design principles and some interesting things. So if you're design for identity, provide spaces that reflect the individual, that provide environments that are more socially conscious, that they feel like there's this connection socially to their fellow workers around it. Might be more open, and again, as you go into environments today, they're becoming, the walls are coming down, they're becoming more open for that very reason, that people can connect. Take a college student, 4 years in college, had the entire campus on which to work, and then invite them into your company and put them in a 6-foot high